The rooftop bar buzzed with the energy of young professionals unwinding after a long day. The city lights twinkled around us, and the cool evening breeze carried the distant hum of traffic. Sophia and I clinked glasses, celebrating my new role as senior marketing director at one of New York's top agencies. The champagne bubbles tickled my tongue, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. I can't believe I finally did it, I said, a smile spreading across my face. Senior marketing director. It feels surreal. Sophia grinned back at me, her eyes reflecting the city lights. You deserve this, Eleanor. You've worked so hard for it. Don't let anyone take this moment away from you. As we laughed and chatted, my phone lit up with a text message from Mom. The words seared into my vision, come home immediately. Your sister needs you? I stared at the screen, my hands trembling with a familiar mix of anger and resignation. What's wrong? Sophia asked, noticing the shift in my demeanor. I sighed, setting my glass down. It's my mom. She wants me to come home because Lily is having another crisis. Sophia's expression darkened. Don't let her ruin this for you, Eleanor. You've earned this night. You've earned this job. I wanted to believe her, to push aside the guilt and enjoy the moment, but the weight of my family's expectations pressed down on me. I couldn't ignore the call, no matter how much I wanted to. Back in my apartment, the celebration felt like a distant memory. I paced the living room, the city lights outside my window, a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me. I dialed my mom's number, steeling myself for the conversation ahead. Where have you been? Mom's voice crackled through the speaker, laced with urgency. Your sister's company is downsizing, and she might lose her entry-level position. She's devastated. I pressed my fingers to my temple, trying to keep my voice steady. Mom, it's the middle of the night. What do you expect me to do about it right now? The silence on the other end was deafening. When she spoke again, her voice was cold. You're choosing a job over your family, Eleanor. Family comes first, always. I wanted to scream, to remind her of all the sacrifices I'd made, all the times I'd put my own dreams on hold for Lily. But I knew it wouldn't make a difference. She couldn't see past her own expectations. It's not just a job, Mom, I said quietly. It's my career, my future. I've worked years for this opportunity. Her voice hardened. Your sister needs you here, Eleanor. Either you come home and help her, or you can consider yourself no longer part of this family. The words hit me like a physical blow. I hung up the phone, my mind racing. I couldn't go back, not this time. I had to choose myself, even if it meant facing the consequences. I sat at my laptop, the cursor blinking on the blank screen. Sophia sat beside me, her presence a silent support as I began to type. The words flowed easily, years of suppressed feelings finally finding their way onto the page. Dear Mom, Dad, and Lily, I wrote, by the time you read this, I'll be on my way to New York. I know this isn't how you wanted things to go, but I can't keep setting myself on fire to keep others warm. I poured out my heart, detailing the struggles and sacrifices I'd made over the years. I explained that I had accepted the position in New York, signed a lease on an apartment, and was starting fresh. I made it clear that I wouldn't be guilted into coming back, that I needed to live my own life. As I finished the letter, my hands were trembling. I sealed the envelope, feeling the weight of my decision. Sophia read it aloud, her voice steady and sure. It's perfect, Eleanor, she said, folding the pages carefully. You're doing the right thing. I zipped up my suitcase, already packed with the essentials. Everything else would be shipped later. Sophia helped me carry my bags to her car, the pre-dawn darkness shrouding the city in a quiet stillness. As we pulled up to my parents' house, I placed the letter on the kitchen counter, where Mom would find it during her morning coffee routine. I lingered for a moment, my hand resting on the envelope, before turning away. The Uber was waiting when I returned to Sophia's car. She hugged me tight, whispering, "You're doing the right thing. Call me when you land." As the car pulled away, I switched off my phone, the missed calls and angry texts fading into the background. I was finally steering my own ship, and whatever storm lay ahead, I was ready to face it. The airport was a blur of noise and color as I made my way through security, clutching my boarding pass like a lifeline. I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety, the weight of my decision pressing down on me. As I settled into my seat on the plane, I couldn't help but think about the life I was leaving behind and the future that awaited me in New York. The elderly woman next to me smiled kindly as the plane took off. First time going to New York, she asked. I managed a small smile, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. First time going there to stay. As the city disappeared beneath the clouds, I imagined Mom finding the letter, her anger and hurt morphing into a realization that I was finally putting myself first. I pictured Lily's face crumpling as she read my words, the weight of her problems finally resting on her own shoulders. The flight attendant's voice snapped me back to the present. Would you like something to drink? Water, please, I replied, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. As the plane touched down in New York, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. I had made it. I was finally free to live my own life on my own terms. My tiny studio apartment in Brooklyn was a far cry from the spacious room I had back home, but every square inch was mine, earned with my own money and decorated to my own taste. I unpacked my suitcase, the essentials already neatly organized, and took a deep breath. This was my new life, and I was determined to make the most of it. The first few weeks in New York were a whirlwind of meetings, deadlines, and new experiences. I threw myself into my work, eager to prove myself in my new role. My boss, Miguel, was supportive and encouraging, noticing my dedication and fresh perspective. The Johnson campaign presentation was fantastic, Miguel said, gesturing for me to sit in his office. The client loved your ideas. I smiled, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment. Thank you, Miguel. I'm glad to hear that. He leaned back in his chair, his expression knowing. You seem distracted, though. Everything okay? I hesitated, unsure of how much to share, just adjusting to the city and avoiding calls from home, I admitted. Miguel smiled, understanding in his eyes. I left Puerto Rico against my family's wishes. They didn't speak to me for 2 years. I was surprised by his candor. How did you handle it? He leaned forward, his voice steady, by remembering why I left. And speaking of which, he slid a file across his desk. We're pitching to Nike next week. Want to lead? I felt a jolt of excitement. Are you serious? He nodded. You've earned it. He gestured at my phone, which was buzzing with another call from home. Deal with whatever that is. Clear your head. Back in my office, I finally turned on my phone, the sound of voicemails and text messages filling the air. I listened to Lily's voicemail, her voice thick with tears as she pleaded for my help. I pressed delete, my hand shaking slightly. Another voicemail started playing, Mom's voice sharp and accusing. Eleanor, your sister is falling apart, and you're playing career woman in New York. How dare you abandon your family like this? I pressed delete again, my resolve strengthening with each message. I couldn't go back, not now. I had a presentation to nail and a career to build. As I immersed myself in work, my phone kept buzzing with messages from home. But for the first time, the guilt was overshadowed by something stronger, determination. I had a presentation to nail and nothing was going to stand in my way. The Nike pitch was a success, and I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment as I left the meeting. But as I walked back to my office, my phone rang again. It was Sophia, her voice tight with anxiety. Your mom showed up at my workplace today, she said without preamble. I stopped walking, my heart pounding in my chest. What did she want? Sophia paused before continuing. She's getting desperate, Eleanor. She's trying to guilt me into revealing your address. I felt a pang of fear, but I pushed it aside. Don't let her manipulate you, Sophia. I can't go back, not now. She sighed, her voice filled with concern. I know, Eleanor, but your mom is persistent. She's not going to give up easily. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the battle ahead, I know. But I can't let her control my life anymore. I have to stand my ground. As I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of determination wash over me. I had come too far to turn back now. I had a career to build, a life to live, and I wasn't going to let anyone stand in my way. The city's evening buzz surrounded me as I walked home from the subway, the weight of my phone heavy in my pocket. I had just received an urgent call from Sophia, her voice laced with anxiety, as she informed me that Mom had shown up at her workplace, desperate to find me. I braced myself for the inevitable confrontation, knowing that Mom wouldn't give up easily. As I turned the corner to my apartment building, I noticed a familiar figure standing outside, her face streaked with mascara and her eyes filled with desperation. Lily. Eleanor, please, she begged, her voice trembling. Mom's really upset and I don't know what to do. I need your help. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the conversation ahead. Lily, you can't keep relying on me to fix your problems. It's time for you to take responsibility for your own life. She looked at me, her eyes wide with shock. But Eleanor, I can't do this alone. I need you. I shook my head, my voice firm. No, Lily, you need to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. You're stronger than you think, and it's time for you to prove it to yourself. As I turned to walk away, she called out to me, her voice filled with desperation. Eleanor, please don't abandon me. I'm your sister. I paused, turning back to face her. I'm not abandoning you, Lily. I'm giving you the chance to grow and become the person you're meant to be, and I believe in you. With that, I walked away, leaving Lily standing on the sidewalk, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. I knew it wouldn't be easy for her, but I also knew that she had the strength to overcome her challenges and become the person she was meant to be. As I entered my apartment building, I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. I had stood my ground and made the tough decision to put myself first, even in the face of my family's expectations. And as I climbed the stairs to my apartment, I knew that I had made the right choice. The knock on my apartment door came late at night, jolting me from my thoughts. I wasn't expecting anyone, and my heart raced as I looked through the peephole. To my surprise, it was Lily, her face streaked with tears and her eyes filled with desperation. I took a deep breath and opened the door, bracing myself for the conversation ahead. Lily, what are you doing here? She pushed past me into the apartment, her voice trembling. Eleanor, I need your help. Mom and Dad are being impossible and I don't know what to do. I crossed my arms, maintaining a safe distance. Lily, you can't keep relying on me to fix your problems. It's time for you to take responsibility for your own life. She looked at me, her eyes wide with shock. But Eleanor, I can't do this alone. I need you. I shook my head, my voice firm. No, Lily, you need to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. You're stronger than you think, and it's time for you to prove it to yourself. She collapsed onto my couch, her voice filled with desperation. But Eleanor, I don't know how. I've always relied on you to fix everything for me. I sat down across from her, my voice steady. Lily, you're capable of so much more than you think. You just need to believe in yourself and take the first step. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. But what if I fail? I smiled, my voice filled with encouragement. Then you pick yourself up and try again. That's what being an adult is all about. As I spoke the words, I realized that I was not only giving advice to Lily, but also reminding myself of the strength and resilience that lay within me. And as I looked into her eyes, I saw a glimmer of hope and determination that gave me the confidence to believe in her and in myself. The call from Dad came late at night, his voice weak and strained. Eleanor, I had a heart attack. I'm okay, but the doctors say I need to step back from the business. I felt a wave of fear and concern wash over me as I listened to his words. Dad, I'm so sorry. What can I do to help? He paused, his voice filled with a mix of pride and regret. Eleanor, you don't need to do anything. Your sister has stepped up and taken on a lot of the responsibilities. She's been amazing, and I'm so proud of her. I felt a sense of relief and pride wash over me as I listened to his words. Lily had finally taken the initiative to take control of her own life, and I couldn't have been prouder of her. As I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the journey that had led me to this moment. And as I looked out at the city skyline, I knew that I had made the right choice in putting myself first and believing in the strength and resilience of my family. The hospital corridor was quiet, except for the distant hum of machines and the soft murmurs of nurses. I stood outside Dad's room, bracing myself for what lay ahead. The past few weeks had been a whirlwind of change and growth, both for me and for my family. As I pushed open the door, I saw Lily sitting by Dad's bedside, her laptop open and her fingers flying across the keyboard. She looked up as I entered, her eyes meeting mine with a newfound confidence. Eleanor, you're here, she said, a hint of relief in her voice. I nodded, taking in the sight of Dad resting peacefully, his face pale but calm. How is he doing? Lily sighed, closing her laptop. The doctors say he needs bypass surgery, triple bypass, but he's stable for now. I felt a pang of fear but pushed it aside, focusing on the strength in Lily's voice. And how are you holding up? She managed a small smile, though her eyes were filled with exhaustion. I'm managing. The business is struggling, and the insurance has a massive deductible, but I'm working on it. I've been going through the books trying to figure out a solution. I was impressed by her determination and resilience. Lily, you don't have to do this alone. I can help with the medical bills. She shook her head firmly. No, Eleanor, you have your life in Paris. I've got this. Her resolve was unshakable, and I felt a swell of pride. She showed me her laptop screen, detailing the restructuring of Dad's business loans and the cost-cutting measures she had implemented. It was clear that she had taken control of the situation, and I couldn't have been prouder. Mom entered the room, carrying a basket of muffins, her eyes red from crying. She stopped short when she saw me, a mix of surprise and relief washing over her face. Eleanor, you're here? I nodded, embracing her tightly. Of course I'm here, Mom. She set the muffins down and hugged me, her voice trembling. I'm sorry for everything, Eleanor. I know it's too late, but I want you to know that I'm trying to change. I felt a lump form in my throat as I held her close. It's not too late, Mom. We can all change and grow together. The doctor entered the room, his expression serious as he explained the procedure and the risks involved. Lily took notes, her focus unwavering, while Mom listened intently, her hand clasped tightly in mine. As the doctor finished his explanation, Lily looked up, her voice steady and sure. The insurance is approved, she said, handing the doctor some papers. Everything is covered. I turned to see Miguel standing in the doorway, a look of determination on his face. He had flown from Paris to help with the insurance, using the company's international health coverage to ensure that Dad received the care he needed. I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me as I realized the extent of his support. Thank you, Miguel, I said, my voice filled with emotion. I don't know how to repay you for this. He smiled, his eyes warm and reassuring. Just focus on your family, Eleanor. That's all the thanks I need. As the days turned into weeks, Dad's recovery progressed steadily. Lily took charge of his care, coordinating with doctors and physical therapists, while Mom focused on supporting them both. I watched in awe as my family rallied together, their strength and resilience shining through in the face of adversity. One evening, as I sat in Dad's home office, surrounded by stacks of papers and the hum of the printer, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had led us to this moment. The office had been renovated, the once cluttered space now sleek and modern, a testament to the changes that had taken place within our family. Lily entered the room, her eyes scanning the documents spread out before me. So, what do you think? She asked, a hint of nervousness in her voice. I looked up at her, a smile spreading across my face. I think it's perfect, Lily. The merger proposal is solid and the numbers add up. I'm impressed. She beamed with pride, her eyes shining with excitement. So you'll consider it? Running the New York branch as an equal partner? I nodded, feeling a sense of purpose and determination. I will, but first I need to talk to Miguel and ensure that everything is in order. As I dialed Miguel's number, I felt a sense of anticipation and excitement. The merger between our family business and Miguel's company would not only secure our financial future, but also allow us to expand and grow in ways we never thought possible. Miguel, it's Eleanor, I said, my voice steady and sure. I've looked over the merger proposal and I'm in. Let's make this happen. His voice was filled with enthusiasm as he replied, I'm glad to hear it, Eleanor. I'll have the legal team draw up the paperwork and send it over right away. As I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. I had come full circle from the girl who had left home in search of her own path to the woman who had returned stronger and more confident than ever. And as I looked around the office, I knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in our family story. The celebration dinner was a lively affair filled with laughter, tears, and a sense of unity that had been missing for far too long. As we raised our glasses in a toast, I looked around the table at the faces of my family, their eyes shining with hope and determination. Dad, his health restored and his spirit unbroken, smiled proudly as he said to Gibson and Gibson and to the daughters who made it possible. Lily, her confidence and strength shining through, added to finding our own paths and growing together. Mom, her eyes filled with pride and love, whispered softly to healthy boundaries and new beginnings. And as I raised my glass, I knew that this was just the beginning of a journey filled with love, growth, and endless possibilities.